objects which we have seen, it is momentary and it could not satisfy our our desires. Desires are ever growing. So when we contemplate over our daily transactions, our engagement, our entanglements, and our restlessness of the life, then only we can have a dispassion towards these worldly phenomena, in which we are completely duped, entangled. It is only because we don't see our result. We don't discuss on our achievement. What have you get till now? When we discuss seriously, then only we come to know that nothing I have got till now. Once there was a celebration of New Year. I had some number of students with me. I used to teach them. So there was New Year celebration. All the students came. They were giving me some gifts. So I asked them to sit and let us talk about the New Year. Said today, how old are you? How old are you? How old are you? Somewhere 15, 16, 18, like that. So every year you see the new year comes and it becomes old, and again we celebrate another new year. Till now, what have you achieved? Come on, you have to note down everything in paper and pen and tell me. Suppose you are 15 years old, a student. Right from your birth, as long as you gained a little awareness, you can remember something. As far as you can remember, go on remembering everything and write down everything. What have you done till now? Every details, how much you have eaten up to now, how much time you have slept, how much time you have gossiped with your friends, how much time you have spent for playing and taking care of your body, all the details of your daily life. Calculate everything. Till now, you have to give the result. What have you gained till now? Only some little flesh and bone and little strength of the body, physical strength. That much. Hardly little understanding about this, your daily life. That much you have gained. And how much you have lost. If it is this much in the 15 years course, say your life will be, say, 80 years, 90 years, let it be 100 years. So what will be the last gain? What profit you will get? And how are you going to spend your energy, your time and all your efforts in future? What is the plan? If it goes in this way, what will you gain? You have to contemplate. Now at least you have to sit calmly. Today is New Year's Day, so you have no school, nothing. Please sit down here and go on calculating everything. What is the gain, what is the loss? I shall ask you afternoon. They went on calculating everything. Some says, I have eaten truckload of food. I have lost so much time in gossiping, playing, and sleeping. Generally, the children sleep for long hours, fond of sleeping, playing, doing some mischiefs. Everything, every detail they honestly noted down and gave me what they have done till now. In this way, if we sit sometimes, that is a must. How much we are engaged, for what? How much we struggle. Every moment we are restless to get something. And till now, what have I get? What have I got? What is the gain and what have I lost? Is this life to be spent in this way? Is this the meaning of life? And for this you have come here as a human being, and you claim you are a superhuman, a super being. You dominate over everything on this nature. You are the superior being. And this is the consequence of a superior being. This is the identity, or this is the characteristic. This is the life of a superior being. What is the goal of your life and how much you have progressed towards your goal? This is what we were discussing. One should not forget the goal even for a moment. If you forget the goal, you are a gone case. You will forget your track, you will be misled, and you will reach somewhere else. Nothing you will get. And you are equipped with something which is not given to all other beings. That's how you are superior. What is that? The calculating mind, intelligence. Of course, all the beings have their mind and intellect, but human beings have some kind of calculative intellect which can see, which can analyze, which can discuss, and which can find out what is good, what is bad, what should be done, what should not be done. All these type of intellect is only with the human being. Other animals, they know only 4 things. They have the intellect. What are they? Eating, sleeping, and having fear of losing the life, and propagating. Because every being is having a tendency to become many. So all the beings, even a small plant, it wants to multiply. This is the nature's nature. Everything wants to multiply. So propagation is an instinctive aspect of every being. One wants to become many and struggles to become many. So this kind of intellect is with everyone. But human beings have only the intellect where he can discuss, analyze and investigate and know what is good, what is bad, what to be done, what should not be done. All these types of contemplative mind, analytical mind only human being has. So if you don't use it, you are not a human being. You have no right to claim to be a human being. That is superior being. No right. Then if you don't use your intellect for all this, then you are an ordinary being. You are not better than a tree or an animal, wild animal, or a bird, or some ant or some grasshopper. You are not better than that. So, ask your mind, do you want to be just an ordinary being? Don't you claim your superiority? Then by all means we have to know, we should be aware, what am I thinking, what am I speaking, and what am I doing? What is the consequence of all these? What is the gain, what is the loss? What should be done, what should not be done? And you know, every action has reaction. So how much you have tortured others? Have you ever looked back about your past? What have you done? And what will be the reaction of it? Are you ready to face all those? Why don't you? Of course, the past is past. Why don't you regulate and betterify your future? Unless you contemplate, you cannot have a better future. So these are the must, not only to achieve samadhi in every field of our relative life. Unless we are aware of ourselves, we don't achieve our temporary goals even. One should be always alert, aware, what is he doing. And basically this is the course of sadhana. Not only spiritual sadhana, even in our day-to-day life, success is based on all these: awareness, self-introspection, alertness, being presence of mind, being at present, and looking at your mind, which is the cause for all our troubles and all our good achievements also. Both way. Mind is mind is a rascal, mind is a good friend, best friend also. So we have to use our mind for our betterment. We can only help ourselves, none else can help ourselves. You will be helped by yourself, none else can help you. This is the final. Nobody can help you. You have to help yourself. Uddharet atmanam atmanattanam. You have to save yourself. You have to help yourself to be better than before. So these are some few things we have discussed already in different language, different way. And of course, the aim of every being, whether he is human or other beings, everybody wants the absolute rest and continuous happiness, which is known as bliss. Continuous happiness. Nobody wants to suffer. No being can will for suffering. So, continuous, unending bliss is life, the goal of every being. So now the question comes, being superior being, human being, have you thought over it? Are you attempting to get this continuous, unending bliss? Then only we can have a desire to be desireless, not to be a slave to our desires and run after the sense objects. So this is how we have to start our spiritual journey. Dispassion is a must. That is the seed for all our attempts in the spiritual path. And that is impossible to have unless and until you contemplate yourself in a peaceful, solitary time or place. You have to contemplate over it. So, in this chapter, we have discussed all these. Somehow or other, to control this mind, not to run after sense objects, and to have a little rest. That is possible only when you have disliking, dispassion towards the objects, and that is possible when all the desires are minimized and slowly the desires are wiped out from the root itself. That is called dispassion, that is the renunciation also. And when you renounce all these, naturally you will have a strong mentality to rest only. And that rest is nothing but, permanent rest is nothing but samadhi and That is the end of our journey. That is the goal of our journey. One should not forget this goal even for a moment, or else we will be derailed, we will miss our track, our path, we will wander in the forest of this world. Aimlessly, we will be lost somewhere. Life will be miserable and sufferings. And we have discussed already how to how to cultivate divine qualities instead of attachment for all these worldly objects having demonic qualities, anger and greediness and jealousy towards others and all these torturing others and capturing over others' property. Instead of all these, we should practice the divine qualities, helping others, feeling for others, having a feeling of brotherhood and sharing with others, loving others, serving others. Thereby, we can have a little restful mind. Mind will not be restless, and that is indirectly progress towards the goal, complete rest. When slowly the divine qualities makes the mind less restless, and the demonic qualities, negative qualities, they make the mind restless. You see, when you have anger, क्या कहा गीता में? Anger takes you to such a state, you lose everything, you forget everything, and your body also creates some poisonous secretion. Your body also gets spoiled, your mind, your relationship with others, your intellect fails to think what are you doing, what are you speaking. So, how restless the mind becomes. Not only anger, all these negative qualities, if you see others, of course it is difficult to see ourselves when we are in the height of anger. You cannot see yourself. You can see others. How do they behave? So to have rest, to have restful mind, or to have calm and quiet mind, we have to cultivate good qualities instead of all these negative qualities. Thereby, indirectly, we progress towards our absolute rest. These we have seen, and withdrawing the mind from the sense objects and fixing it on any object again and again and practicing it for a long time, then we success in the effort. Mind rests for a while on one object, that is called meditation. And when meditation gets strengthened, it prolongs for a longer time, it becomes steady and becomes strong. Then the same meditation becomes samadhi, and this is by continuous effort we can achieve. And once one has been established in that samadhi state, then no worldly thoughts or attraction can bewilder you in that state. Nothing can enter into mind. It is a strong fort like. No enemies can enter into the fort. That also we have discussed how the center of our being, that is heart, that is the innermost chamber of the fort, and how there are 5 gates, and who are the enemies attacking from outside, and who are the gatekeepers, all these we have discussed. The story of Virochan, who contemplated over himself, I want to enjoy something new. But the world is always old. World is old. Everything is old. Everything is repeatedly enjoyed. What a fool am I. Let me find out something new, ever new, which I should enjoy. So he tried to find out the path of meditation and samadhi. He enjoyed samadhi, which is ever new, never gets old, eternal state. All these we have seen, and our dispassion will be enhanced, it will be strengthened, it will get stronger and stronger by satsang, good association. Satsang is protecting and uh, and encouraging, enhancing fact, satsang. By good association, we always get aware of our being, and dispassion strengthens, and slowly we cultivate good habits, and our progress becomes rapid. Then we discussed how long one should be in samadhi. If at all you have achieved that goal, so how long you should be enjoy that samadhi state? So that also we have discussed, that if you have a tendency before practicing all these spiritual exercises, cultivating this passion and having satsang, continuous satsang, studying all the scriptures, contemplating over the injunctions of the scriptures again and again, continuously, you have achieved samadhi, the state of equilibrium, that is rest. So how long you should rest? How long one will rest in that state? So with that we have discussed that if you have a tendency before practicing all these and entering into samadhi of coming back and having some, you see, having some powers. Generally, the spiritual seekers, they are mad after power, supernatural powers, siddhis, isn't it? I must fly in the sky. I must show miraculous features. See, what do you want? Mango now? Take one. All these supernatural powers. So people are mad after all these powers. So if you have such tendency before entering to samadhi, then you are bound to come back again to this worldly level, mental level, and again you will be caught in the world. So, if at all you have such things, then don't forget, if you come down from state of samadhi to the mental state, again and again you should practice dispassion, strengthen dispassion. Again and again, continuously you should have satsang, good association, or else there is every chance again you will be worldly. You will lose your achievements, whatever you have gained, you will lose all those. Just as a person owns plenty of money, and when he has been a multimillionaire or billionaire, then he will think, oh, let me now enjoy. So whatever wealth you have, it takes no time to waste it. So there is chance, if you come down from samadhi, again you may be entangled in the world. So till the samadhi becomes continuous and quite strong, that means they say one should be in the samadhi not less than 7 days. Then only your mind and intellect will be colored with that bliss, and it will not again look at the worldly enjoyments. It will not go for all these worldly powers. These powers, miraculous powers, they are momentary. It is just like some wealth you have acquired, and if you go on enjoying that wealth, it lasts no longer. It gets exhausted. Similarly, your spiritual power, if you use it for little ends, little achievements, that good name and fame, or some other money or respect or something in this worldly parallels, then your power will be lost. It will not last long. It is just like money you have earned. When you spend, it will get exhausted. So, of course, when you are progressing in the path of samadhi, all these powers are bound to come to you. You will have mental power, you will have willpower, you will have many others miraculous powers. So one should treat all these powers just as the milestones in your track. Just as you look at the milestones and know how far you have progressed in your path of reaching the goal, and you just look at it and go forward. You don't collect all those milestones, do you? Does anybody collect milestones to remember I have progressed so much, to show others I have come so far? Nobody does like that. So one should treat all these powers as milestones, just look at it and forget it. They are just to show you how far you have progressed. All these are real milestones, are contentment, less of desires, and and peaceful mind, less of desires, more dispassion, not having any choice for the worldly gain, and treating the good name and fame and relations and wealth with a, with a, say, with a disliking mood. Oh yes, let it be there. Let people tell me, great, let me have so much wealth, or let people treat me good, in a good manner or in a bad manner. A disliking for all these will develop. That means the dispassion towards all these will be stronger and stronger slowly. That is the real wealth, and that is which can help you till the end, till the end. So these are the wealth: contentment, less of desires, disliking for the world, and your relations, and dispassion towards everything. These are the real wealth, and peaceful mind. So, after coming back, coming down from that level, that height of samadhi, again you should not forget. You should not forget your aim. You should try again to achieve the same. Just like a traveler who has missed his track and entered into a forest, having no way out, what he should do, who has forgotten his truck and he is misled, he has entered into some forest, what is his duty, what he should do? He should always be trying to find out a path, how to get out of this forest and again reach to the truck. That should be continuous effort. And in the end, he says, यह सब होने पर भी समाधि की ओर प्रधान लक्ष्य रखना चाहिए. All these, after discussing all this, in the end he says one word only. Always you have the aim at the samadhi. You should not forget it for a moment. हे श्री राम जी, अपने भीतर एकमात्र निर्वाण रूप समाधि की ओर लक्ष्य रख कर के स्थित रहना चाहिए. किसी प्रकार का खेद नहीं करना चाहिए. Vasid ji says, "Oh Ram, all the time you should aim at your goal, that is samadhi, and you should not be hopeless if you have not reached, if you are delayed or some obstacles come in the path. Of course, Shreyansi Vahuvignani, if you try for something good, there will be obstacles. And every obstacle you have to go across, you have to pass, you have to face it. Then only you can progress. So don't have any fear or disappointment or depression. You have to always have hope. Don't be hopeless. Face all your problems and be up and do in your sadhana. You should not give up the path. Let any amount of obstacles come. You should not be hopeless. Why he says, you see, the life is whatever you do, whether in worldly life or spiritual life. The life means it is a series of problems. Life cannot be without problems. World means problem. Problem is called world. No life you can see without problems. So, whether it is worldly life or spiritual life, everywhere there are problems. That's why we worship Ganeshji, who solves all those problems, who gives us intellect to find out the way out. गणेश जी हमको बुद्धि देते हैं, सिद्धि देते हैं. He gives us success in every attempt and removes all the obstacles. It is our Indian culture. So one must not be hopeless. Again and again he should have self-effort, and problems are bound to come. Just as look at the students when they go for school or college for education, they go step by step, they progress step by step, one class after the other. One class where they are in, they have to face the problems, means they have to sit for exam and they have to give interview, how much you have studied, how much fitness you have achieved to go ahead. That means sitting in exam hall and getting good marks and passing out the examination, and then only you are fit to be admitted in the higher class where higher problems are waiting for you. There also you have to give examination. Every moment, monthly exam and quarterly, half yearly, annual exam. Every moment you have to face examinations. And every examination you have to pass out. Then only you can be admitted in the higher classes. So whole process is full of problems. And when you have passed one, you have solved one problem, that problem comes to you with not only discouragement, but it gives you encouragement to go ahead when you solve it. When you solve it, you are encouraged to go ahead. So problem comes with encouragement and confidence. You can go ahead because you have already solved this problem. Strength, encouragement, confidence, these are the achievements by solving the problem. So you cannot run out from the problems, you have to face them. Every problem comes to you to give a push to go ahead. You have to solve it. There is no other go. You cannot run away. Suppose a student being afraid of the examination, he leaves the school and discontinues his studies. If at all again he wants to come to the school, will he not face the examination? Somehow or other, you are bound to face the problems and solve them, and then you can progress ahead, and by you will gain confidence and courage, and in the end you will achieve your goal. लक्ष्य को कभी भूलना नहीं चाहिए और किसी भी प्रकार का खेद नहीं करना चाहिए. You should not be discouraged by any way. By no way you should be discouraged. Success is awaiting for you. What did Edison say? He failed many times, but finally he gives the saying, I have the positive attitude, what he had. He says, I have not failed 1,000 times in my life, but I have successfully found out 1,000 ways which are not favorable for me. Successfully, I have found out 1,000 ways. That is my success. Every failure is a stepping stone for success. So don't be discouraged. You have to try again and again. और सारे किसी प्रकार का खेद नहीं करना चाहिए और सारी शंकाओं को तिलांजलि देनी चाहिए। ये सबसे बड़ा पॉइंट है, शंकाएं। दिस पॉइंट शुड बी always remembered. We are a failure only because of ourselves. We have doubts every moment. Doubts are our enemies. What happens, the process of mind, if we analyze the mind, it is, many times we have seen it, it is nothing but a flow of thought waves. And those thought waves are not, the law is every wave, every object will be different from the other. Then only difference, and then only a gap, then only they can be two, then only they can change. So difference is a must. Without difference there is no world, no creation. This is the fundamental rule. There should be difference between the two. So there are difference between the two thought waves. And every wave is, because it is different from other, so they react with each other. Acting and reacting both, that is how the world process goes on. Every two has both-way relationship. Every two has both-way relationship. If this is small, then only it will be big. If this is big, then only it will be small. So smallness or bigness, both are dependent on each other. That relationship is both way. Understood now? This is how the doubts arise. There is doubt always between every two. This is our pitfall, where we get discouraged and always we go towards negative side. Always there must be a doubt, because this is world. There is difference between every two, so there is a doubt. And our mind is the world. Those thoughts, they will have difference against each other, and they have always fight. The stronger will win over the weaker. The strong waves of thoughts, they dominate, and the weak thought waves, they surrender. For example, I want to go to Gangotri. Just a thought came in my mind. Let me go for Gangotri. Long since I have not gone to Gangotri. Today I shall go. The moment this thought comes, the opposite thought comes, then not there. Today, oh, what time? it is now already late. If I start now, I will reach Gangotri late, so I may not come back today. So not today. Tomorrow I shall start early in the morning. See how these thoughts, they are reacting against each other. Everybody's mind is like this. When one thought arises, the other thoughts weakening it or acting against it, they will rise then and there. And some are favorable, helping thoughts, and some are just against it, which make the original thought weak. So, if one thought arises, we should not allow other weakening thoughts to get up. That is how we are our enemies and we can become our friends. If you look at your mind, every moment we have some thoughts, we wish to do something, and the next moment some depressing or uh, unfavorable reacting some thoughts over it and makes it weak. That's how we don't get success. The clue to success is not allowing the opposite thoughts to rise up. That is only possible when you are aware of your thought waves, when you watch your mind. And that's how always we have doubts in our life. Not only in doing something, everywhere, in studying, in hearing, in looking something, or do, whatever we do, everywhere these opposites are always there. So one is favorable, other is unfavorable. They react with each other. That's how we don't get success quickly. And on this basis only, Gita हमको कहा ना, उधरेद आत्मनात्मनम. Just now we were discussing, you can help yourself, nobody else can help you. If you can see your mind, you will be aware of your thoughts and allow your positive thoughts to be steady and discourage your negative thoughts. Then only your confidence, self-confidence enhances, and you don't get afraid of your achievements or your progress, and you get encouragement, and you can easily progress rapidly. These are the obstacles. Obstacles are within you. It is not from outside. So one should be always alert and wipe up all these doubts. Doubts are our enemies. One should have always one point in mind. Whatever thought comes, let it grow strong. Let not there be any opposite thoughts. Just as in the field, you see, in the forest, you see, the trees, they don't grow under other trees. If they are free, there is nothing over it, then only they grow fast. If there is a tree under the big tree, it doesn't grow fast. One day or other it will die out. Die out. So freedom. Freedom means your freedom to grow. That is, your thought should grow. It should not have other thoughts which weaken it or go against it. That is the trick. If one thought comes, then it should persist, and it should not be allowed for negative, unfavorable thoughts to act against it. This is the skill of yoga. You should always look at your mind, and this is what he says. You should not be afraid of all these obstacles. You should wipe out all your doubts. Doubts are because of this. It is what natural. Everybody has doubts. But you should not allow the doubts to play havoc in your mind. And you are the answerer of your doubts. How? When mind is one-pointed, that means it is calm and quiet. Mind is having one thought only. All the answers are there. A calm mind has all the answers of the whole universe. You can answer your questions, you can answer the questions of the whole universe. One-pointed mind only becomes, one-pointed minded person becomes the scientist. He invents new things. And one-pointed minded people only, they do wonder. They get success. This is the way he emphasizes upon it. Don't be afraid of doubts and wipe out all your doubts. This is how you can do. And then सारे शंकाओं को तिलांजलि दे दो. Don't worry about all these. Doubts will be there. Don't look at it. Don't encourage the doubts. Just be indifferent towards the doubt. Have one mind, one thought, and go on with it. That thought should be towards the goal. You should not forget the goal. That is how success is a must. It has to crown your head. It has to. Success is bound to come. If this is done, it is not a easy joke. But this is the way. This is the way. There is no other way. He is emphasizing upon this point. You have to wipe out all your doubts, and then yahi samadhi अति रमणीय सुसुप्ति के सदृश परम शांति शरतकालीन विस्तृत बादलों के सदृश निर्मल है. He gives a strange example. He says, such a mind is just like the all-pervading or covering the whole sky, the autumn clouds in the autumn season, clouds will be there. Of course, the sky always clear. But sometimes we see at the time of evening, there will be clouds all over the sky, but they are useless clouds. They are white clouds. They have no water at all in it. Such clouds are good for nothing. Though there are clouds in the sky, autumn clouds spread all over the sky, they are good for nothing. They will not rain. Only the rainy season clouds, they blast and we get calamities. we are, we are. So he says, just like the autumn clouds, which are good for nothing, such mind who looks at this ever-changing world and all the sense objects, it will see, it will have the sight of the world with all these names and forms, but they are good for nothing. They are useless. They will have no use in your life. Your vision will change. Though you look at the world has got no attraction for you. That's how he gives such a strange example of autumn clouds. They are good for nothing. Worldly names and forms or your sense objects, your running of the senses or restless mind, they have got nothing to do with you. You are the witness of all these. Impartial, indifferent, witness. And then you will enjoy that samadhi without any break, and that is the absolute peace, unbroken, eternal, taintless, spotless, bliss, peace, and everything. Your aim is achieved now. This is how the chapter 46 ends, discussing all these methods how to achieve the aim samadhi. We shall see now the 47th chapter, where again we shall discuss same thing in different ways. विस्तार से प्रस्तुत मुक्ति के साधनों के क्रम में दृढ़ वैराग्य की प्राप्ति तक जितने साधन हैं उस सबका पुनः वर्णन. जितने साधन है, we have discussed few exercises to get strong dispassion. Now in this chapter we shall discuss some other ways how to get strong dispassion towards the world. Again, this repetition is not useless. Repetition of anything gives you perfection, and strengthens it. You get steadiness over that point. Whatever you repeat, you become stronger in that. So, repetition is way to perfection. Repetition is a must in our life. Nothing we have achieved without repetition. See this child, it is repeating. Everything it repeats, then only it gets success in it. If you start writing alphabets, once writing you cannot remember it. Go on writing over and over again, then it will be remembered thoroughly well. Walking, speaking, or understanding the things around you. Children, they go on repeating same thing. They will fall down, yet they will start again, get up and walk till they can run. They have to repeat it again and again. Everything we learn by repeating in our life. So repetition of all these subjects is not bad, but on the other hand, it is only needed repetition. Same thing we have to repeat again and again. Don't be bored. Same thing. In different language, different examples, and different stories and different ways. Same thing. Nothing new is there. महाराज वशिष्ठ जी ने कहा, भद्र श्री राम, जो जीव इस संसार के भार को ढोते ढोते थक गए हैं तथा मरण मूर्छा आदि संकट समय के झेल कर जिसका शरीर जीर्ण हो गया, जर्जर हो गया है, वह विश्रांत अवश्य चाहता है, परंतु उसके लिए जो खास क्रम है, यानी विश्रांति पाने के लिए प्राप्त किए जाने वाले उन साधनों से उत्तम गुणों के लाभ का जो क्रम है, उसे आप सुनिए. Vasiri ji says, O Ram, one who has been tortured in life, not one, everyone of course, everyone who is happy in this life, one who has been suffering in this life again and again, and carrying all those burdens of the life, who has been tired with this life, and who is at the deathbed, who is entering into coma. Before dying, one loses its memories and mind becomes dull. That is called coma. No awareness of the body, senses, mind, nothing. No surroundings. So that is coma. One who is resting, lying on the deathbed and entering into coma, what does he want? He wants rest in every sense. He is tired of the life. Body, the senses are not working. The legs are not moving. Hands are paralyzed. Nothing is audible. Ears are not working. Eyes are not able to see. The teeth has gone forever. So everything he has lost. The senses, the body, the mind, everything, every one is tired and unable to activate. No longer they can activate. Now everybody, every part of the body wants rest, isn't it? So he says, वह विश्रांति अवश्य चाहता है. Everybody in this stage, in this state of the life, everybody wants rest. Is there anybody who doesn't want rest? Even the animals, at the end, they want rest. Every being wants rest. So what is the way to get real rest? Now the question comes, what is the way to find out permanent rest? Do we get rest after death? That is also a question to be solved. So, first of all, who wants rest? Being tired of all these worldly burdens, problems, and miseries, at the time of death, being unable to do anything, everybody at that time wants rest. And everybody has to face it. Who has gone beyond death? Everybody has to face this state of life one day or other. Everybody wants rest. इसका प्राप्ति किए जाने के लिए उन साधनों से उत्तम गुणों को लाभ करने का जो क्रम है उसको मैं कहता हूँ राम. Now I shall tell you all those better ways by which you can achieve that rest. Same samadhi is given another word, permanent rest. Same samadhi. Now I shall tell you different good ways, effective, quick ways. सबसे पहले विवेक रूपी अंकुर का उदय होने पर जिन गुणों की प्राप्ति होती है उन्हें बतलाता हूँ, सुनो. He says, we were discussing about the dispassion, isn't it? And of course before that, and all the time with it also, satsang, good association, is a continuous need by which we can have strong dispassion towards the worldly objects. Anyway, dispassion is the root, it is the seed for the tree, will-fulfilling tree, samadhi. That is what we discussed. Now he says, of course, dispassion is the way, the seed. Now he tells about discrimination. Discrimination. What is called discrimination? Discrimination is shall I explain it by my words or by his words? If I can explain what is discrimination, that means giving cremation to one. Cremation means burying one, ending one. That is called discrimination. Discrimination. So, how to do it? You have to find out everything about the two. One should be buried, other should be protected. This is how discrimination is defined. That means to find out the intellect, sharp and subtle and sattvic intellect which is able to see completely, thoroughly well what is exerting or what is momentary, what is dying every moment, what is getting lost every moment, temporary, momentary, and what is the opposite of it, what is permanent. The permanent will be permanent. Those who are dying, bury it, whole thing. Why to bury one after one other, everything together? Once there was a devastating earthquake in this place in 1991, and about 51 persons died in this village. Of course, I was alive. I didn't die. I saw all the deaths, how people were lying, how they died by carelessness, by falling of the uh, houses, and it was terrific, terrific. It was in the early morning, he said, 3:45, quarter to 4. It was early in the morning. Everybody was deep asleep, and there was an earthquake. The houses were falling down, and those who were inside, almost so many people died. Few could come out, and those who were outside, they were saved. So 51 people died in this village. And everybody was bewildered, everyone was unable to think what to do and what not. Everywhere there was a disaster. Nobody could think what to do. The whole village. And there was no light, everything was cut off. No light, nothing. From one house, the living persons, they cannot communicate with the other house people. There was darkness. Somehow or other, some people got little mind, some youngsters, they got together. Somebody could have some torch, or they made some masal, some uh, arrangement for the light, and they went on from house to house. They were shouting, my, my building was here, and it was, of course, it was affected, but I was saved. I came out, and two students were with me, and one was very much particular, Swamiji, we should go to see the villagers. I am doubtful about my family people. How are they? I must go to see my uh, relatives. I must go home. So I said, don't go alone, I will also come. So one was left here, and I, with that boy, we started going to the village. We could not, all the roads, all the paths, they were covered up with stones and trees and everything. Everything was a disaster. So somehow or other, I could reach the first house. There also some some people were inside. They were shouting. They had no way out. They were shouting, "Are bachao, bachao, save us, save us." Somehow or other, I could save about 40, 44 people. Somehow or other, I got contact with the groups, and I made different groups and asked them to go from place to place to see, first of all, who are in danger, save them. Don't look at the dead fellows. They are gone. Don't worry about them. Who are struggling for life, you must save them first. So somehow or other, we saved so many people. And in the end, in the morning, we collected 51 corpses, including children and old men and youngsters. So we collected them here, what to do with them. Nobody was willing to do something for them because they are thinking of saving their kith and kin, who is caring for dead people. So I collected all those corpses together and put some grass and some hay over it, a little firewood I had, I put everything over it, and put some kerosene I had, some diesel also I had. So I put everything over that and set fire. Not one by one, everyone together. Okay? This is called discrimination, discriminative power. The whole world, which is subject to change, is transitory. Everything is dying every moment. So why to face so many deaths? Why not bring every whole world together? Isn't it? At a time. This is how we can make two sides only. One is burial ground, other is golden palace, where the king is enjoying permanently. So in this way, discrimination points out what is transitory, what is perishable, and what is imperishable, what is permanent. It is only the the superfine, sattvic, subtlemost part of the intellect, which can divide both, which can see the both. Then only it can divide the both. Common mind cannot see all these. It is always restless. So discriminative power is very rare to achieve and very few people have. Though we have analytical intellect and other qualities of intellect we have, but discriminative power is rare to achieve. So by this we shall proceed in the path of complete rest, permanent rest. It is not samadhi. Now we are not giving the word samadhi, though the meaning is same. Complete rest, permanent rest, because everybody in the end wants rest, because everybody is overburdened with problems, miseries, and the life. So everybody wants to throw out all this burden and rest. So where to get permanent rest? The discrimination will decide how to get it, where to get it, what is the path. Now this way we shall go. Tomorrow we shall see. Discrimination is the seed of permanent rest. Previously we were talking of this passion which is the root for the samadhi tree. Now same thing in different language. Discrimination is the seed for complete rest, permanent rest. And what is the way to achieve it? Tomorrow we shall see. Hari Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. सद्गुरु भगवान की जय, सच्चिदानंद भगवान की जय, शब्द ब्रह्म की जय, सरस्वती महारानी की जय, जोग वशिष्ठ जी भगवान की जय।